Yo, what is good? What is good? Good morning, beautiful people, or at least it's morning where I'm at. Good morning. It is a beautiful Friday morning. We don't have any more finals. Thank God. Thank God we are done with school for the next 3.5 months. It's good to be back. I cannot wait to jump into this podcast. I almost don't want to do any intros, but let me just start off by saying if you're new to the channel and the first thing you're ever seeing is this podcast, I am your humble host, Chu. I am a producer and I would very much like you to join the family. So please do hit that subscribe button, hit that like button if you like the video, and hit that notification bell so that, I can be buzzing away in your pocket and, getting more of these videos, tutorials, cook-ups, and whatnot out to you the most effective way possible so that more people can see them. Most specifically you. So, hit that button so that you can become a part of the family. So I've been meaning to do this episode of the podcast for a while. At first, it was supposed to be an episode about how to talk to artists, and then I tried to get people to send in voice memos, but I didn't really get too many voice memos. And so I tried again with just people submitting questions into the community post on YouTube. And I got a whole slew of questions there. And then I got like maybe 100 more from my email list. I will not be doing the ones from the email list. I'm so sorry because I already have a bunch here in the comment section or in the community post section. But next time I will do a better job to be like all inclusive of every single question that I get. But yeah, let's just jump in. I don't know if I missed anything. Oh, dope content wristbands are back, and they are back in full stock. Well, not full stock anymore, actually. About half of them are gone now. So grab some if you didn't get to get any last time. But yeah, I think that's all the logistics stuff. So let's get into it. Beat contest will be streaming tonight. I'm sure a lot of you guys know about that and are excited about that. I cannot wait to see what you guys sent. You guys sent in like 300 submissions. It was insane. I was not expecting that at all. Thank you so much. That's definitely going to be really, really fun. So I can't wait. But let's jump into this. So the first question comes from Camille Ortega. You definitely know this dude. He comments on like everybody's stuff. He's a mad consistent poster. He's a very supportive community member in the producer community, in the music community in general. Like I see him even on like Genius videos commenting and shit. And his question is, how do you go about getting your first couple of sales? And for me personally, I got my first sale last year I got my first sale. Yeah, I got my first sale last year in June. It was a guy, I made a beat called Say Less. It was a Kanye West featuring 070 Shake type beat. It was right after he dropped Ye. I was feeling super inspired by it and I just released it. And then someone just was like, hey, I want this beat. I want the stems. I want the whole thing. And he just copped it from the site. So, but with that being said, that was my best beat that I had made to that moment by far. Like I put so much emotional energy into that beat, and I put so much because I was so inspired by hearing the entire album. Yeah, a lot of people don't like that album. A lot of people say it doesn't have good replay value, and I was definitely one of those people who felt like that at first, but I don't know, something about it just touched me spiritually. And even to this moment, like it's still one of my favorite albums to drop in 2018, and it's not my worst Kanye album. I think it's low on the Kanye album tier just because it's Kanye. Look at his discography, but I really like it. But this is a very tangential way of answering your question. You have to make something that is fire. You have to make something that's very, very fire, and then you have to get it out on your platform. That was at a time when I was posting consistently. I used to post beats every single day, sometimes 2 beats a day. And I would just post consistently every single day. And that happened to actually be a guy who was checking me out for a long time. He called me on the phone. He shot me an email first and was like, yeah, all that shit about like wanting the stems and everything. And then he was like, yo, I have to get on the phone with you. I have to talk to you. And he was like, yeah, I've been listening to your beats for a while now. And I have like this whole playlist. I love the Jaden Smith type beat playlist, but I heard this beat and I was like, I need this beat. And he was like, we set it up. He was like, I'll cop it on Friday. And you usually if you're a producer, you know how that goes. Like, I'll cop it on payday, or I'll cop it, next week when I get paid. You usually don't hear back from them. But that was not, the case in this instance. This guy was so enthusiastic about this beat. I had cultivated, fandom in him without even really realizing it. So I think I would want that to be the takeaway in this question, in answering this question, is that consistency is going to build you fandom without you even really realizing it. So there's a lot of reward you reap from just doing all the good things. I mean, those first sales are difficult to come by. And then even afterwards, there is an obscene, ungodly amount of work you have to put in to keep getting sales. But those first couple are groundbreaking, and they let you know exactly what you have to do to keep, rekindling that feeling of success. So just stick with it, be consistent. I know that's the answer everybody hates to hear, but it's the answer that works. I mean, whenever I ask the same questions to people who I consider mentors or idols, and they all tell me the same thing: be consistent, don't overthink shit. I mean, the more you talk to people, the more you're going to start to hear basically the same answers over and over again. Don't overthink. I was just having a conversation with Kenny Beats the other day, and I was like, bro, I'm freaking out. I have finals. I don't know what the fuck to do. I'm panicking. And he was like, bro, don't overthink it and stay consistent. That's literally Kenny Beats, of all people, just literally said the same thing that YouTubers tell you every day. So it doesn't matter who you're talking to, whether it's a dude in the industry who has, as many placements as you can think of, or, someone on YouTube who has 4,000 subscribers telling you don't overthink it and just remain consistent. It's the same thing. People who have tasted that success know the formula to success, and they're willing to keep repeating it until they get what they need out of it. But yeah, that was a dope ass question to start. Thank you. Next question is from my boy Prob by Peaks. He said, what are the best free and cheap plugins? I would say Unstable. I don't know if Unstable is still free. I haven't used it in a while, but Unstable is always my go-to, because I really if you can't tell, I like to detune my melodies. So Unstable is a really good detuning, stock, or not stock VST, but just VST that you can use to add some really cool effects. I don't really use, I feel like I told you guys this before, but I don't actually really use too many free VSTs outside of what is stock in my DAW, honestly. So really, if you guys have suggestions about free VSTs, I would love to know. I'm actually I want to start doing more videos with free VSTs, honestly. So if you guys could let me know. I don't use them. I use Scxrch, which is paid. I use the entire analog synth Arturia, or however you say that, their entire synth pack. I use all of those, the ones that emulate the analog synths. And then I used to use Omnisphere. It made my computer crash. I deleted that shit. Fuck Omnisphere. Sakura is way better anyways. But yeah, not too many free VSTs, man. Put me on. I would love to try some new ones. Next question is from Smithy G. He said, is it possible to get far as a producer with stock FL plugins? Yes. I've basically gotten as far as I have with mostly stock. If you hear a piano, it's usually FL keys, and if you hear some pads or plugs, it's almost always Sakura. So yes. And then Fruity Slicer. I'm sorry, excuse me. Fruity Slicer is my go-to, which is also stock to FL Studio. So yeah, you can. And I only very recently started mixing with things that are not stock to FL Studio as well. So you can get far and you can make progress with just stock things. Now, eventually, if you want to get into the realm where you're kind of diversifying your sound, or stepping into that next level of, now I've kind of got a mastery on my production style and I want to step into my mixing style, you might want to do things that aren't so stock to your DAW. You might want to check out the Waves bundles, or you might want to check out Ozone, or whatever else people use to, whatever types of third-party applications that people use to mix and master. You might want to start looking at things like those. But as far as like making actual progress, you don't need anything outside. You don't need anything outside of stock plugins. Next question is from The Heat Production, and they ask, is BeatStars promotion worth it? I've never done BeatStars promotion, so I wouldn't be able to tell you. What I can tell you is I've heard from other people's experiences, and this is no knock on BeatStars at all. I'm just going to tell you the truth. I've heard that people say it doesn't work for them. Now I know that, you know, people are going to have biased opinions about things that don't personally work for them, because as many people who have said that it doesn't work, there are also some people who tell me they're about, you know, the same number of people, or even a few people more, that tell me that they have reaped some benefit from using the promotion system on BeatStars. So I couldn't tell you either way. All I can tell you is that I've heard both sides, and that I personally do not use it, and I don't plan on using it. Although I do have a decent number of credits. I have like 100 credits. The other deterrent for me, at least, from using it was that because so many people have already booked promotion slots, like I wouldn't be able to get a promotion, or at least the last time I looked, they might have fixed it. I don't check anymore. But the next time I would have been able to get a promotion slot would have been like 5 months away. And I'm just like, I don't care about that too much, but I don't understand the system, so I'm not going to knock it. I just personally don't use it. That was a good question though. The next question is from, sorry if I butcher your name, Scxrch Potty, whatever. We'll post it. I'm so sorry I butchered it. How do you get views and subscribers in early stages as an extremely new account? Consistent posting and posting good content. Like that's it. Yeah. Next question. Next question is from Not Okay. Can you make a video about making your own drum sounds? I could, but to be honest, I don't know how much that would benefit the entire base as a whole. So if that's something you guys want to see, just, you know, let me know. Be more vocal about, you know, things that you want. I usually try to make videos about things that y'all want. So yeah, if that's something you guys want to see, just let me know. Next question is from Typico Beats. How did you find the secret hi-hat drip? Plus, show it to us. The secret hi-hat drip, I'm not really sure what you mean. I can tell you where I learned my hi-hat like techniques. I learned it from like a lot of Internet Money videos. Like I used to watch a lot of Internet Money videos, and like watching like Nick and Mira cook up. I learned like a lot of shortcuts, like watching like a KC Supreme cook up. I learned a lot of shortcuts from him. And then I think even like going back to like stuff I was watching before Internet Money, like Praxi, I learned hell of like hi-hat manipulation from Praxi. And what I'm talking about are things that they do in almost every video. They don't explicitly say it, but if you pay attention to their videos, you'll notice that they do it every time that they're working on their hi-hats, and I just work to pick up those tips. So to answer your question, honestly, if you want to know what I do at my hi-hats, just check out some of the silent cookups or some of the, you know, cookups on the channel in general, and those will kind of give you some hints and insights into the things that I do to get my hi-hats to sound the way they do. With all that being said, since you mentioned it, and you're not the first person to mention it, I might make like a hi-hat sauce video. I won't call it that. I'll probably just be like how to make some cool hi-hats or something, because I noticed a lot of people are actually very interested in the way that I do my hi-hats. So, one other thing is something that I do very frequently is I'll add like live hats to the background of my hi-hats. I noticed that people used not to do that as much, but since people like Travis Scott and Jaden Smith have become a lot more popular, and Tory Lanez makes use of this sometimes too, people are starting to make their hi-hat patterns, but then also, you know, back it with a live hat pattern, whether it's something they played from a VST, like say Addictive Drums, or it's a loop that they pulled from Splice or something. But really good question. Next question is from Raf RP, and they asked, have you ever considered dropping uni to go for a full-time producer career? Every day, every fucking day. Even like as I'm out of school right now, I'm literally just like, do I really want to go back to that shit, or do I just want to put 100% of my effort into music? Because it's almost at a point where I want to at least see what it would look like. to give music 100%, because music is getting, 45-50% max for me right now. And if I could double this, I sometimes I just think to myself, like, where would I be if I just, my mom would chill for a year and just said, like, you know what, just do this music shit for a year. Let's see what happens. I would love to see, where I would be. I picture myself in a 30-foot glass house chilling somewhere in fucking San Francisco, but it remains to be seen, man. Either way, I'm grateful for my opportunity no matter what. I'm grateful for the knowledge that I'm learning at my university. I'm grateful to God for the opportunity to even get to create music at the scale that I do. Like, I almost have 30,000 subscribers, and this time last year I had like 500. So, that's incredible. That's incredible. Either way, so I'm not here to complain, but, I do consider dropping out of school basically every day, every hour on the hour without halt. Dope question though. Next question is from D-Wash Sharma, and they ask, making beats when you high or making beats when you drunk? Edit, out of these two states, which one do you prefer to produce in? We're gonna keep this PG, so I'm not gonna explicitly answer that, but I've never been a proponent of alcohol consumption. Not to judge, but of the two, I think like research has shown that marijuana, or if I'm assuming you meant high as in marijuana, marijuana is not as malignant towards your body as alcohol is. So I would have to say production under the influence of marijuana would be more fun for me, just because at the very least I wouldn't be stressed out about what the alcohol is doing to my body. But like I said, no way for me to really answer y'all's question with that one. That's really funny though. Next question is from Jiraj Obrez. I'm saying a lot of these mad wrong. I'm so sorry. How do you spice up a melody loop? Stack it with, you can stack it with other sounds from another VST. So like, for example, you're saying a melody loop, like if you already have a melody loop. So you could chop it up in Fruity Slicer, or you can pitch it up. You can put it into your mixer channel, and you can do things like time manipulation. So if you're in FL Studio, you can use gross beat. And that's not just time manipulation, that's like volume manipulation as well. So you can do like a bunch of different side chain techniques. You can get into, your effects chain where you're adding detune or chorus or reverb. There are a lot of, things that you can do to take those very, very simple melody loops that you get from people's kits and turn those into your own creations without doing too much. Like, you know what? I should just make a video on it. But yeah, there are a lot of different things you can do. And then if you're a little bit more skilled, you can also play overlapping melodies on top of the melody loop. Like you can do the counter melody. We have recently discovered that counter melodies are not a thing, and there was a whole big beef about it in the producer community apparently. But counter melodies or harmonies or whatever you want to put over it. But I would say I'm not really like a counter melody guy. Like, I think the whole concept of counter melodies is pretty stupid. I think octave manipulation is a much better technique. It's more sonically pleasing in general. And then like just adding your own effects, like find a way that, you add chorus like nobody else adds chorus. Like your chorus preset is the meanest chorus preset out there. Like nobody fucks with it. Or like be like Palace, like your detune, like nobody's fucking with your detune preset. Like it doesn't matter what loop they give you, like as soon as you put your preset on it, like it's gonna be your own thing. Like just get to a point where you're like that. So whenever you use a loop, even if people are like, oh, that's Cody's loop, or oh, that's Kyle Stenberger's loop, or that's Q Beats loop, like people are gonna be like, but that nigga touched it, because I know that's his effect chain. Just get to that point where you're able to manipulate them in your own unique style. Next question is from Blue, and their question is pertaining to selling and getting placements. I don't have too many placements, and they have all come from me just randomly reaching out to people with blue checks on Twitter. So I have a few more that are dropping over the summer. I won't talk about them. The one that I've had drop so far was with Rajan. I'll probably drop a link in the bio and probably have it play a little bit right now. But it was a really, really dope song, and I literally just like met him by messaging him on Twitter. Like, I'll probably show y'all the DM thread. I just messaged him and I was like, yo, I listened to your music. Like, I know you're working on an album. Can we get something going? And I sent him a bunch of beats and he liked them. And then he was like, but I see you do YouTube. So he just browsed all my beats and he found a beat he really liked. And he was like, this is the one, we're going to do it. And I wanted to be on his album, but he ended up just dropping it as a single. And it ended up just being its own like individual single. It didn't make any projects, but it was really cool because it got its own video. It got its own little promo plan. And I thought it was really, really cool. And, you know, this is an artist that has worked with people like Pilgrim and fucking, you know, Boy Wonder, like Cody. So it was really, really dope to get placed with this guy and just get to do something fun with him. So I would just say reaching out to people, because that's how production always was. You have to reach out to people. Like, I feel like production has reached this kind of stage now where producers are like this amorphous combination of a lot of things, but they can exist in their space, in this little like 6x6 space in their house, in the corner of their house, you know, in their room all day on their laptop, just making beats, and they don't ever really engage with people. And, you know, even to the extent of just reaching out to, you know, people on Twitter with blue checks or people on Instagram with blue checks and just being like, I have these beats, I'm trying to get them to you. And obviously, like, there's a certain level of status that you have to have. Candidly, there's a certain level of status you have to have for people to respond to you when you're sending things out. But even if I've seen people with like 400 followers get placed the same way, if you just go to these people and you treat them with respect, be like, hey, like, I'm a producer and I like your stuff and I have some beats. A lot of these people are going to take the time to listen to your beats. But if you hit them up and you're like, yo, I got beats, and they don't reply, and you're like, all right, fuck you. And it turns out if you had just given them like 2 more hours, they were probably just doing something. They probably didn't see your message or whatever. Or on the flip side, if they say, nah, I'm not really too interested, and you say, all right, well, fuck you. Like, you're not who I thought you were. You're not as nice as I thought you were. You're not blah, 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 who you say you are. That just burns a bridge for you. Whereas opposed to if they said, nah, I'm not interested in beats, or even if they listen to your beats and they say, nah, I'm not interested in beats right now. If you maintain that connection with them, just say, look, like, I get that you're not into beats right now, you know, just keep me in your Rolodex, keep me in contact, you know, just stay in contact with them. Don't spam them, don't bug them. There's a guy who I'm in the process of getting a placement with right now who is just like that. Like, he was telling me, like, he wanted to work for the longest, but he was like, I know you don't make beats like I like to use sometimes. And I was like, bro, we'll get something eventually. And I just talked to him every day. And then I was working on something and I posted it on Twitter, and he was like, yo, like, send me that. And I sent it to him and he got it done in like an hour. And he got 2 major artists on it in a couple of days. Like, it was crazy. All because I just maintained that contact with him. If I had sent him those first beats and he was like, yeah, they're not really my style, and I had been like, fuck you, nigga, you don't even know what good beats are, like, your shit is garbage, I never would have got placed with him. And this is a guy who has a record deal. Like, I could ink a record placement with him because I was just patient and respectful. So as far as answering the question about getting placements, I know it was super long-winded, but you have to treat these artists like they are people. Like, they're not gonna like your shit 100% of the time. To be candid with you, they're not gonna like your shit 1% of the time. They're gonna like it less than that. But when they do, you need to be prepared and you need to be ready to go. And the best way to do that is to just always treat everybody you come into contact with kindness, especially these artists, because you need to treat them like people, but at the end of the day, understand that they are where your sustenance is going to permeate from. So like, if you don't have a good relationship with any artist, how are you making money as a producer? That's ludicrous. It conceptually makes no sense. So it sounds simple, but you would be surprised how many people piss off artists every day, badmouth artists every day. All that shit producers do when they get on Twitter and they're like, man, I'm not doing any more free beats. Nah, fuck all artists. Artists are broke, blah, blah, blah. Artists don't invest in themselves. That's just all those artists are saying, like, I'm not shopping with that nigga no more. Like, I don't want to deal with a person like that. I don't want to talk to a person like that. I'm going to just go cop beats from someone who doesn't disrespect artists. And then they go shop with your competitor because you don't know how to respect your customers or your potential customers. So, and then this begins to spill into the topic of selling beats. If you want to sell beats, it all begins with what is inside of you, bro. If you don't want to hear me say, be consistent, and you don't want to hear me say make good shit, well, then it has to come from, the other things. Like, there are other things that even if you make good shit and even if you're consistent, if in yourself you are not able to interact with artists, first of all, that stems from something that is inside of you. That stems from something that is like and a hatred that it is inherent to you whenever you're interacting with people. So you need to find a way to rectify that in yourself. And that's something that I think anybody who is a producer or a business person in general is going to deal with. It's going to be frustrating to deal with customers. It's going to be frustrating to deal with these entities that exist over you that allow you to acquire your sustenance in the production game. But at the end of the day, you have to think about what is inside of me. What am I putting out to the world? Because what you put out is what you're going to get back. So if you put out bad energy, it's going to be bad energy in your bank account. If you put out bad energy, it's going to be bad energy on your sales page. If you put out bad energy, it's going to be bad energy in your beats. People are going to feel it. People are that's how energy works. Like, it's the law of equivalent exchange for anybody who's ever watched Full Metal Alchemist. Like, that's how life works. Like, but now if you have good energy, if you're like, you give to people, you give free beats, you're willing to work with people, you're willing to provide good customer service, you're willing to reach out to people, you're willing to be humble, that's good energy that you put out, and you will be reciprocated with that good energy. It's not to say that bad things will not happen. It's not to say that you will not experience trials and tribulations, but it's to say that on average, you will experience more good things and you will feel better about yourself if you are putting out that good energy. So if you are, in your heart of hearts, if you are remaining consistent, if you are working very hard on your craft to get better every single day, if you are treating people with respect, you're providing good customer service, I don't see too many scenarios in which you don't begin to sell more beats. But the issue comes in, and this is for everybody, whether you're somebody asking this question, whether you're me or whether you're Cody, whether you're whether you're Kyle Beats, don't let anybody tell you they don't struggle with these things right here. We all struggle with it, but it does exist on a gradient. Some of you may struggle with it more than other people and not realize that, but they are things that you have to work on every single day if you want to, get to that next level as a producer. Woo, that was a good ass question. The next question is from Antonio Marzale. And they ask, which scale do you like to use? I'm really into the D sharp scale right now. D sharp minor, harmonic minor. And I think, but honestly, because I'm tone deaf, I hear everything in C sharp. So I guess by default, like if I just start playing the piano or the guitar, like I will automatically default to playing in C sharp scale, C sharp minor, no matter where I am on the instrument. So but I might, move it up an octave in the DAW once I get everything in there, I might not, but between those two scales, that's mostly where I operate. I noticed that A minor and A minor and G major are fire as well, though, especially G major. I'm starting to fuck with G major a lot. But yeah, that was a good question. All right. So next question is from K12V Beats, and they ask, or their question is pertaining to the arrangement of beats and tips to make beats interesting. So I'm not gonna talk too much about song structure because I feel like I've answered song structure questions as far as arrangement is concerned in like every single song, in every single podcast that I've done. And I realized that that's not even really what goes into making your beat interesting, because the way you structure your beats is important, but to me, that's not the way that I make my beats interesting. The way you, okay, let me backtrack. When you arrange your beats, that is the most important thing that goes into making them interesting. Because if you have shitty organization, like if you have pre-chorus and your verse and your chorus and your bridge is just scattered, like that's gonna make a shitty beat. It's not gonna make any sense. It's not gonna be interesting. It's just gonna be all over the place. But when you have all those sections and they're organized well, I think the thing that alone can make your beat interesting if it has a lot of good of elements. But if you notice that you're listening to a beat that you think you've arranged well, that just doesn't sound very interesting to you, it might have more to do with some of the transitions or drops. And this gets into the argument of why people think beat makers are different than producers, is because at its core, they truly are. Beat makers are the people who make the beat. The producers are the people who do everything else. So they may make the beat, they may not make the beat, but they're doing things like they're creating tension inside of the beat. They're creating transitions. They're creating drops. That is production. Making the beat is not production. Creating the emotion, that is production. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. Just because you made the beat does not necessarily mean at its core that you produced it. If you did not create if an engineer had to go in and do all the drops, they had to do all the mixing, they had to, create all the transitions, they had to add the fills. All you did was make the beat. And honestly, if you get the beat back and you hear a bunch of drum fills and a bunch of transitions and a bunch of drops, bro, you produced it, but he did more of the producing. You made the beat, basically. You're a part of the production process, but you didn't make the beat. So to answer your question, if you want to do things to make your beats more interesting, do things like add fills, add risers, add transitions, do drops, do even beat switch ups and change ups. And you can do a simple change up just by like lowering the pitch of your drums in a certain section, or like adding fruity filter to the melody at a certain section, or like gross beating a part of the melody or the whole beat. Like there are a lot of different things you can do to add that flair and that sense of interestingness to your beat that isn't just simple arrangement. Because I understand sometimes that's not enough just to your ear. That's enough, to an artist, because, give space to the artist and all that. And initially the artist needs a blank canvas to work before you go adding that shit back in. But I understand as a producer that you want to be a producer. And I think a lot of what goes into that is creating that emotion in that beat. And I feel like that's how you do it. Like a lot of times when I think about my beats, I think about it as a roller coaster ride. So it should, some roller coasters, I've ridden roller coasters that start off super fucking fast. There used to be this roller coaster at Astroworld that is, you got on it and they strapped you in and it went 40 miles per hour the entire time. Like it was something stupid. It just instantly started going really fast. And so sometimes you can have a beat like that where it's just like, it starts off really, really fast and then it just never stops. And that's interesting. Like Drake does a lot of that shit. He'll have like a 180 tempo beat and just go for like 2 minutes. And that's a really interesting beat. Sometimes, roller coasters, they start off really, really slow. Then they have that massive drop. You might hit like a loop, and thinking about it that way, the loop might be like the change up. The loop-de-loop might be the change up. That gradual rise might be like where you have some growth speed, and then as you get to that pinnacle, the growth speed is fading out, and then you drop into your melody, and then maybe you change that melody up an octave to add even more energy and more tension. And then that's a way to signify that the roller coaster is now like going down, that it has passed the pinnacle and now it's just heading down that hill. Finding different ways to think about your beats that was really a really bad way of explaining what I'm trying to say, but basically finding different ways of adding emotion and energy to your beats is going to make it more interesting. And the way that you can do those things is by adding transitions, adding drops, and just more in general, thinking of yourself as more of a producer, someone who's adding emotion to the beat instead of just the guy who's making the beat. No knock to the guy who's just making the beat, because hey, there are people who make millions doing that. But to answer your question, I feel like what you mean is that you want to put more emotion in, and that's how you put more emotion personally. Next question is from Bonsai Children, and their question is Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. Honestly, neither. Both are bad, but if I had to pick one, I would have gone with Hillary Clinton. At this point, bro, yeah, I would have to say Hillary Clinton, because it is fuck you to the women in all of the United States right now. Like, they just banned abortion in like 7 states. And they explicitly banned it in 2 of them. So that's ridiculous. And then on top of all that, now, you know, rapists are getting like visitation rights, which is ludicrous. Like, I can imagine living somewhere like Germany, or even like next door, like Canada, where something like that would never happen. And it's happening in what is supposed to be the most powerful nation, the most exemplary, the most forward-thinking nation in the world. It's ridiculous. Like, I could not imagine abortion being outlawed in the Netherlands. It sounds I never would have thought in a million years that something like this could happen in the United States. It's crazy. Next question. How long have you been doing beats? About 2 years now. And that question was from Luis Cowan. Sorry. Next question is from Floro Beats. Who or what inspired you to make beats? Kanye West will always be the answer to this question. I saw the video of him producing with Jay-Z, or producing for Jay-Z, and Jay-Z getting super hype. I cannot remember what beat it was. And then I also heard his production, or when I realized that Kanye was a producer, that blew my mind, because I always liked Kanye's music. I always loved Kanye's music. But when I realized that he was making it, like he had a hand in creating that emotion, like that was life-changing to me, because I realized that like it wasn't so far-fetched that I could convey my emotion the same way that Kanye conveys his emotion. And that was the most emotive freedom I had ever felt in a moment ever, was just realizing that it was a possibility that I could do what Kanye is doing musically. It was just the fact that it was possible. I didn't realize that all it took was a laptop and some practice, a lot of practice, but I didn't realize that it was accessible. So that was just it. I realized the next day, like, I want to do this. I want to do it. So yeah, that definitely inspired me. Good question. Next question is from Marcus Beats, and their question says the best ways you found to grow an audience / how to market your stuff. Consistency and an expansive marketing system. So like making sure you cover all your bases. So like I have an email list, I have Twitter, I have Instagram, I have YouTube, I have Soundcloud, and I have Discord, and I have Facebook. So like that's very expansive, and I'm making sure I'm touching a lot of different bases, and I'm touching a lot of different audiences to, you know, make sure that I have the best conversion rate possible, or rather that I have the highest raw conversion rate possible. Because even if my conversion percentage is low based on every single follower I have, even if my conversion raw number of conversions is higher because I'm reaching more people, I think in the end that is still a dub, as opposed to having a higher conversion percentage but you're only on one platform. You know, it doesn't really do you too much good when the bills are due. So I would just say, and then once you have established yourself, you know, professionally on all those platforms, remain consistent and post good shit. People will buy things that are good if they see them. So that's basically the simple concept of marketing, honestly. People will buy good things if they see them, if they need them. If there's a demand for them and there's a supply, they will buy them if they need them. So yeah, if it's a good product. Next question is from my boy Scxrch. His first question is, would Lightning McQueen buy car insurance or life insurance? And then his second question is, how can you overcome beat block? Any advice regarding it? So first question with Lightning McQueen, I would actually say that Lightning McQueen would need life insurance, because the cars in cars can get car insurance because they ride in cars. So like those cars need to be insured. But then are they insured? Because they know their cars. So is it just called car insurance? Like, is life in the cars world called cars, or is it called car? So like, I'm living this car. I can't wait to get done living my car so I can go die. I sound high as fuck, bro. Scxrch, you must have been high when you came up with this question, bro. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and say life insurance because they're all cars. And then second question for overcoming beat block, bro. Yeah, get high as fuck like you obviously are. Nah, but I would say just like take a break from making beats, bro. Like I get the meanest beat block when I'm stressed about beat block. So once I forget about beat block, I tend to not have beat block anymore. But when I keep thinking about how much beat block I have, like the beat block tends to be chronic. So I would say like just do something else. Go watch a Star Wars movie. I always watch Star Wars when I have beat block. Like even if it's like 10 minutes. I don't actually like Star Wars that much, but like something about seeing Star Wars visuals is very inspiring to me, and like I like the way they score their stuff. So I might hear something that's just like, yo, like that makes me want to make a beat, or just like anything. Just it makes me forget beat block basically. So yeah, anything to just make you forget that you even have it. Just go do something. Go get some ice cream, bro. Go work out. I don't know, man. Go get high. Fuck it. Just forget about the beat block though. Go to church. Go pray. Something. David R, how to get placements? Just reach out to people, man. We kind of talked about that earlier, but yeah, just reach out to people. And be consistent in your posting. Yeah. Hot dog beat, making a chill beat. This is how you make a chill beat. Open your DAW, make the chill beat, export it. Next question is from Jamensi Sauter, and they say, what frequency is your music? It's in the traditional 440. I don't really know too many producers who don't produce in the traditional 440, at least American producers. I know Ludwig, the dude who did Redbone, and the dude who did the Black Panther score, who's from Germany, I think. He produces not in 440, which I thought was the most interesting thing ever, because he makes trap beats as well, but they are not in the 440 hertz frequency. So interestingly, but to answer your question, yeah, I produce in 440, and I also play music in 440. Next question is from Mitchell Dobson. How do you make those glitchy type 808 effects? Also, you're doing really well. Keep it up, bro. Thank you. As far as the glitchy 808s, I think you mean like the stutters, and I just treat them like I treat my hi-hat. So I'll just chop them on the grid, and they'll just do that automatically. And then I set them to cut themselves so that they don't overlap and, you know, make that gross muddy sound. Great question. Next question is from What's Up Boy, and they said, what is your usual daily routine as a producer? So usually it's going to be a little bit different now that it's summertime, but usually it's like on a day where I don't have work, like I don't have to go to my internship, and on a day when I don't have school, it's usually like wake up, pray. So wake up, read the Bible, pray, meditate, and then like I'll like check my emails, I'll check all the social medias, I'll like do my budget sheet, make sure all of that is good. Then I'll probably just hop into FL Studio right away, because I feel like I'll be my most creative like right when I wake up, right after I've prayed, right after I've meditated. I've kind of like sat and thought about like a lot of the shit that I need to think about for the day basically, and that'll kind of guide me to the most creative musical thing I'll make for the day. So I usually like to just jump into FL Studio and check out what I can make. It doesn't always work out that way, but I've noticed that a lot of times it's usually when I make some of my better stuff. Whether it's like making a video, sometimes it's even just making a video. Sometimes I've made my best tutorials in those moments, actually, is like when I've got done praying, I got done meditating. I'm like, I feel very, very creative. I feel very, very productive. Like I just want to crush a task. That's usually when I will do something like that. I'll do something musically related, something that's related to the business, to the brand. Then I'll take some time to eat breakfast, go work out. I'll come back, eat lunch, and then get back into it. This could be anything from producing, making custom loops for people, sending beats out, working on kits. Paeta drum kit is still coming. We're still working on it. Should be dropping next week, right before I go to Disney World. But yeah, and then the rest of the day is basically just music stuff, like making phone calls. It's more logistic than actual production, which is why I like to do the production part in the morning if I can get that opportunity, because even though I do end up opening FL Studio almost every single day of my life, I don't always get to like actually do what I want to do. Like a lot of times I'm like working on collabs, which I mean, I want to do the collabs, but it's like not what I want to do. So, you know, a lot of times I'll be working on collabs or like making loops for people or working on drum kits for the site and stuff like that. So a lot of that stuff is just logistics that comes with the business, but that's basically my daily routine. And then, you know, once I've wrapped it up around 7:30 or 8, I'm trying to wrap it up a little bit earlier, man. I'm trying to spend more time with my girlfriend, just spend more time not, you know, sitting at the desk doing shit. But yeah, I try to wrap it up around 7 p.m., eat dinner, shower, and just kind of call it a day, respond to some tweets, you know, see how people are feeling. But, you know, that's basically a regular day in my production. So next question is from Young May Beats. He said, how do you make beats when there's no inspiration? Do you like all of your beats? Greetings from Mexico. I admire you. Thank you. And greetings from Philadelphia, where shit is going to hell. What do you do to make beats when there's no inspiration? When there's no inspiration, I don't make beats, because why would I make beats when there's no inspiration? That's like, I feel like that's a perversion of the entire reason that I'm making beats in the first place. So I tend not to do too much creatively when there's an utter lack of inspiration. That's probably the worst time to create. I feel like you can only make bad shit when you're truly uninspired. So the issue then becomes finding that inspiration, which we kind of talked about with Scxrch's question, which is just doing something to forget that you're uninspired, or go do something that inspires you, whether it's talking to your mom, doing a cartwheel at the park, man. Just go forget that you're uninspired. And do I like all of my beats? I actually hate all of my beats. To answer your question, I rarely like, even Centerfold, I don't really like that beat that much. I can probably count on one hand all of the beats that I actually like. I like Say Less. You guys should go listen to Say Less. I love that beat. But yeah, I hate most of my beats, man. I think everything I make is garbage. But thank you for the question. I admire you too. Next question is from Magic's Beatmaker, and they said, how do you get inspired making beats? Personally, by doing things that inspire me. So like, I like to, so like, I don't actively try to get inspired to do beats, but like things that inspire me to make beats are like going to the museum. So like, if I go to the museum and I see like this really cool exhibit, like it just like makes these ideas pop in my head of like, what does this image sound like? That makes me, so whenever stuff like that happens, that makes me want to like create the sounds. It makes me want to score that emotion that image made me feel, if that makes sense. That's why like I'll watch a lot of weird things, like I might watch like Edward Scissorhands and like watch how emotionally, you know, the way his neighbor's treatment affects him, and then I'll think, well, okay, how can I turn that emotion, or what I think that emotion is, into something that is musically consumable? Like, and I won't explicitly be watching Edward Scissorhands for that reason, but I'll see it and I'll be like, what does that feeling of abject rejection feel like? Like, what does it sound like? How can I convey it? Because sometimes I feel that. Sometimes, you know, I see other people feel that, but I don't know how to express that it hurts to see it other than in music. So then I get to thinking, how can I create that feeling? How can I get it out of me? Because as soon as I start to feel that feeling, it's like I need to find a way to get it out of me. So that is in a way, in a sense, how I find inspiration for production is just through emotion. It's very powerful. Music is an emotional thing. It's incredible. I feel as though too many people treat it as a purely money-making pyramid scheme, when in reality it's a way to get in touch with who you truly are and how you truly relate with the rest of the universe around you, with literally the rest of it. All right, next question is by Lyric, and they ask, what have been your go-to VSTs when making beats lately? I recently downloaded Expand, actually, for the first time. I just decided to buy it, and I bought it, and it's really fucking good. It's really, really good. It's really, really good. I love that thing. And it's been Expand. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but almost in every beat that I've posted, not in the ones that I do the cookups in, but the beats that I've posted, Expand has been in almost every single beat for the past month, I'd say. And then other things that maybe aren't instrument VSTs, I've been using Isotope Vinyl. I used not to use it. I used to do my detune through Unstable and then manually. Through stock plugins with a flanger. But I noticed that Isotope Vinyl is fire. It's actually fire, and it's like the quickest way to detune your shit. Like all you have to do is just turn that little warp knob up, and you basically have a detune melody. I mean, you can do other shit like add noise and stuff, or I don't know what the fuck those other knobs do. I don't give a fuck about that. But like Isotope Vinyl, turn that warp up, you'll have some Q-beat sauce in no time, bro. Ask Kyle Stenberger. But yeah, Expand and Isotope Vinyl, bro. I've been fucking with them heavy lately. That's a good question. Next question is, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce your name, but you asked what your opinion on lo-fi hip-hop beats. I love lo-fi hip-hop beats. Love them. I don't have any other opinion on lo-fi beats other than that. Next question is from Anashwar RM, and they ask, when did you start making beats? About 2 years ago. Next question is from Hakeem Golden. What's your go-to positive motivation for when life gets you down? So I have a ton of negative things I do when life gets me down. So the first thing I could probably say is the first positive thing I do when life gets me down is avoid the negative things that I do. Avoid anything that you know is a destructive behavior, whether it's just getting angry or, some type of, negative release that is not really good for your soul. I would say whenever I avoid those, it is instantly an improvement on the way I feel, because I'm like, okay, at least I didn't, kind of succumb to my impulse to be human and to let this really, really get to me. And then once I've done that, I kind of just try to forget. I kind of just try to forget the things that are upsetting me. Like, it's really, really an interesting concept that I've began to adopt, but out of sight truly is out of mind. And I think that's more true now than ever, because now when you see something that upsets you in this day and age, you have the potential to see it consistently. You have the potential for that thing to be consistently in your face. So for example, if you see a comment or a tweet that upsets you, you can screenshot it and keep looking at it and staring at it. You can keep going back and responding to it. You can keep yourself immersed in things that are at its core very, very upsetting to your spirit. And I think now more than ever, people, or at least for myself personally, I have to realize that a lot of the things that upset me are I'm giving those things the power to upset me. And then I have to think, okay, how am I giving it the power to upset me? And I have to think, okay, am I immersing myself consistently in this experience? Well, then I need to remove myself and I need to go do something that is not this. I need to do something that doesn't even make me think of this. I need to go, like, I might go play. Sometimes there was a couple of weeks ago, I was very, very upset about a deal that fell through, and I wanted to scream at everybody I saw. I wanted to punch a hole through the wall, but instead I just went to the gym and I played basketball for like 5 hours straight. I didn't eat anything. I didn't really talk to anybody other than the people I was, running on the court with. But I didn't really even tell anybody that I was upset. Even this is my first time even really voicing out that I was upset in the first place. But I noticed that just by being able to do something that was constructive for me, for my spirit, for my body. I like to play basketball. I love playing basketball. And it's good for my body, and it would have kept me from doing something that, say, is not as productive, or it might even be destructive to myself, to my spirit, or my body. Just being able to do something like that was good, but it came from me realizing that I needed whatever was upsetting me to be completely out of my mind and completely out of sight. I needed to do something where I couldn't even think about it. And let me tell you, after playing 5 hours of basketball, bro, the only thing you can think about is how much water you need. The only thing you can think about is how much you want to lay down. The only thing you can think about is how badly you need to take a shower. So I would say that definitely worked. So to answer your question, do things that will put those upsetting, malicious thoughts out of your mind in the most positive way. Because even if I've noticed that whenever I do kind of succumb to the destructive behaviors, I've noticed that they still make me think about the thing that is upsetting me. And after I've finished the destructive behaviors or destructive coping mechanisms, I don't feel any better. And I often reap the consequences of committing those acts. And I usually am like, I should have just not done that in the first place. So I've noticed that the out of sight, out of mind philosophy, I don't know if it's an actual philosophical approach to life, but I've noticed that it works. I've noticed that it works very, very well. That was a great question. Next question is from Matream Sound, and they ask, how many hours do you put into music? How do you balance school, girlfriend, bills with music? Okay, so how many hours do I put into music a day? Okay, well, I sleep about 7 hours a day. I would say I put about 7 to 8 hours of music into music a day. Yeah, 7 solid uninterrupted hours, and not necessarily into the actual act of using FL Studio to make a beat, but if you're talking about my music business, like the actual production and then the logistics that come with the production, then yeah, I would say 8 to 9 hours a day, sometimes more, sometimes less, just depending on how I feel, depending on if it's a weekend, depending on if my professors are being assholes and giving me way too much work to do. A lot of different things factor into it, but usually, I would say, thinking about it now, 8 to 9 hours a day. And then how do I balance school, girlfriend, bills with music? I would not be the best person to look to for advice. I balance it as well as I can. God's grace is forever upon me, bro. He helps me out in these situations more than I can even begin to explain to you. Because without him, I would be a mess. Because like you said, it's a lot of shit to keep track of. But I have a lot of planners. I have 2 planners. I have a calendar on my wall. I have a calendar on my phone. I have a to-do list app on my phone. And then I have a physical to-do list on my wall. And then a to-do list notebook. And all of those things are kind of synced together. It takes a while to develop this productivity system, this kind of task management system, but once you do, it's actually a lot less than what it seems, because when you finish a task, you can scratch it off of everything, and it's a feedback system that consistently reminds me that I have a lot of shit to do, and that I need to do those things if I want to continue to maintain this level of growth that I want. And then as far as bills, is just budgeting, bro. Bills will never bother you if you are good with your budget and you are good with your money. It all comes from how you manage your money. You'll suffer if you waste money. So that's why anybody who follows me on Twitter, you see me every single week. I say, put 20% in savings. I say, put 30% in savings. Some weeks, this morning, I said, put 50% in savings. And I said emergency preparedness, because you never know, bro. month you might lose your job. You might need to get your car fixed, bro. You might get sick. Somebody might get sick. You need to have that money ready to go. So it's gonna be, you don't want to be sitting in that situation at that point in time and say, okay, I really wish that I hadn't bought, 14 Big Macs that one month. If I had saved all that money on Big Macs, I might have enough money to pay these medical bills, or I might have enough money to pay for my new transmission, or I might have enough money, to pay for this emergency that has arisen. So that, and that even kind of falls back to a more micro, a much smaller level of approach, where if you're in a constant state of emergency every month, or for example, if an individual is in a constant state of emergency every month where they can't pay their bills, but they work, then there's an issue there, because if they're saving enough money, they should be able to sustain themselves. But if you kind of succumb to this culture of consumerism, where every time you see something, a product that's put in your face, you buy it, that's going to be, it makes it more difficult for you to deal with things like bills and stuff. So, and trust me, I have struggled with finances more than anybody. Well, not more than anybody, but I've had my fair share of financial struggles. I have gotten money and I have lost money. I've gotten money and wasted it on very, very stupid things. But I think through educating myself and through reading different finance books and through making those mistakes, I've understood the importance of taking that money and saving it and then reinvesting it, because that is how you truly build wealth. Because you can make money selling beats, or you can make money from whatever career that you learn in school, but you'll never make wealth. You'll never get rich unless you learn how to manage your money. You'll just be a guy who makes a lot of money and then spends a lot of money. That doesn't necessarily make you wealthy. That does not necessarily make you rich. That just means you touch a lot of money. And the average person is supposed to make something like $2.5 million in their lifetime. So you want to be able to scoop up as much of that 2.5 million as possible. And that's, I'm saying, if you're just average. Now, if you're talented, you want to be able to cultivate your talents, do things, invest in yourself, and then reinvest your money so that you can have more of that shit, so you never have to worry about something like bills. When the bills come, they pay themselves, bro. You want to get to the point where the bills are like paying like a $10 Dropbox fee, or not even something like that. Like, you want bills to be like paying tax on a milkshake, bro. That's the point you want to get to. And you get to that point by just understanding now, like, okay, I want this PS4, but I want to be stable in life more than I want that PS4. Like, I want my kids to not want like I wanted. I want my wife to have the wedding my mom didn't have, I want my parents to be in the home that they couldn't be in because they had to take care of me. Like, these are the things that you have to really put in your mind now. It's very, very difficult to do at this young age. And honestly, I wish that people were telling me these things when I was younger, but I wasn't even listening. I wish that I had been able to understand more, that I should be listening to them and be taking this advice and heeding their advice, because it would have saved me a lot of money, and it would have prevented me from making those mistakes. But also, just it is very, very good advice. Just be very, very practical with your money. You don't want to get into this battle where we're just showing off to each other. And who the fuck gives a fuck about what anybody fucking has, really? People give a fuck, but nobody really gives a fuck, bro. Like, if you need to, wear a gray t-shirt and the same pair of jeans every day for a year, bro. At the end of the year, when niggas tell you they spent $5,000 on clothing, you'll be like, well, I didn't, and I have that shit in my bank account. I'm finna get some new monitors. I'm finna get a new laptop, or I'm finna, take my girl on a vacation. I'm finna get my mom these nice earrings. Like, live like nobody else now so you can live like nobody else later, bro. It's an astounding philosophy to subscribe to. And then the very, very last part, I left this part of your question for the last part because it's the most important to me, honestly, is how do I manage having a girlfriend? I don't really treat it like managing my girlfriend. I just understand that my girlfriend is my family. I think, even more now than she's ever been, because you know, I am kind of living on my own now. So she's the closest thing proximally to family that I have. And I understand that I'm not oblivious to the fact that I love her, and she means so much to me. I'm not oblivious to that fact. So some of, you know, some of that management and everything else that you're talking about comes in the fact that I'm not oblivious to the fact that I love her and that she needs to feel that love. And I don't always, it's not always perfect. It's not always perfect, and nobody's perfect. But I think understanding, for me at least, understanding that I wouldn't be anywhere without her. Understanding those things, like understanding that, okay, let me backtrack. First and foremost, understanding that I wouldn't be anywhere without her, because a lot of people let themselves be consumed in their work or in their success. If they are already experiencing success at this point, they let themselves get consumed, and they begin to feel things like, okay, well, everybody is a distraction to me. All of you are a distraction to me. When these people, you know, when these people in your life who have an emotional requirement from you are, you know, making these emotional demands, and your response is, you guys are getting in my way, that is not good, because that is when you begin to forget that you would not be anywhere without these people in your lives. So that's what I think I'm trying to say when I say understanding and not being oblivious to that fact is probably the most important thing, is not viewing my relationship with my girlfriend like it is a task. I don't view my relationship with my girlfriend like it is something that I don't put it on the same tier as, say, paying the bills. I don't put it on the same tier. I don't put any relationships. I don't even put my relationship with my girlfriend on the same tier of the relationship I have, of the working relationships I have with other producers. Like, that relationship is in a tier of its own. It exists. It is sanctified. It's like a holy relationship that I have with only her. And I keep saying it, but you cannot be oblivious to that fact. You cannot, no matter what. It's not to say that you will not argue with your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your partner. You will argue with them. You will argue with them more than you argue with anybody. Statistically speaking, you will, because you spend a lot of time with them. They understand a lot of your ideas, so they have more ground to disagree with you. You have more intellectually engaging conversations with your partner than you will with a lot of other people, especially if you guys have a good relationship. So it's not to say that you guys will not disagree or that you guys will not fight, but I think, at least for me personally, understanding how much she means to me, and then understanding what outward expressions I can commit to make sure that that's felt, whether it's just being there for her, listening to her, spending time with her, telling her that I love her, telling her that she means a lot to me, just letting her know that love is felt, that the love is understood, and that love is there. Like, I don't ever want her to not feel the love there. I don't ever want her to doubt it. Like, at the very worst, I want to be in a situation where it's like, all right, like, this nigga made me mad, but like, I know he still loves me. He's just being a dickhead. Like, I don't ever want my girlfriend to be like, damn, like, does this nigga love me? Like, that is a concern. So that's, I would say, to kind of wrap up that last part of your question, that is my approach to it, is love, is nothing but love. Just make sure that you understand why you're with that person. I understand why I'm with my girlfriend, because I love her and she loves me. I appreciate her and she appreciates me. Like, there's just so much, like, I'm gonna get off this question now, because I could keep talking about how much I love my girlfriend forever, but like, just understand, just listen and understand, bro. Just, I don't know. I just listen and understand. I try my best. I love her so much. All right. Next question is from Prod by Guarov. And they said, how do you gain popularity as a producer? I wouldn't know too much about popularity, bro, to be honest. I don't understand what the word popularity means. So, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be able to tell you. I would not be able to tell you. But I can say that if you're consistent, you'll gain a fan base. If you post good shit, you'll cultivate an audience. And if that's what you're talking about, then yeah, it just falls back to the two things I keep saying: consistency, and then just make a good product, bro. That's why that's the brand. The brand is dope content only. It's just, you only make dope shit and you just keep posting that dope shit. Dope content only. It's really like, it sounds so remedial, honestly. It sounds elementary, but that's it, bro. Just consistency and to make sure it's good. Next question is from Melst. Y'all have some weird names, bro. Marketing tips for producers and artists. This has kind of been covered in a few other questions, but in summation, I would say have your reach be expansive. So be on as many platforms as possible. Not necessarily just social media. I mean, get out there and really like shake hands with people, exchange information, exchange phone numbers with artists that you meet. Anytime you meet somebody who says they're an artist, bro, you need to have their number. Honestly, whenever I meet new people, I almost always get their information, whether it's on Instagram or like getting their number. I always do something, or their email. I always do something to get their information. Connecting with people and creating your web, your network, is probably the best marketing tip I could give to you. Just create that web and then treat people very kindly so that people within your web are resources to you. If the people in your web, you can't talk to them, then they're not a resource to you. And it's like, well, then why did you go through the trouble of introducing yourself? Now it's just another number in their phone. You're not any use to them and they're not any use to you. So yeah. How do you promote YouTube videos? I have no idea, bro. Just keep making good YouTube videos. How to make placements for beginners? You can't make a placement. Next question is from, like, I don't know, status on ebook. The ebook is coming, actually. The ebook has not really received any progress since I started it. I actually wrote half of the first chapter, and then, which is actually the third chapter now, and then I had to stop because school picked up. But the ebook, it's coming. Thank you. Next question is from Emmy. How can we stay consistent in making beats? Stay motivated and don't be discouraged. Don't be a perfectionist about it. Understand that not every beat is going to be like the perfect beat, or like not every beat is going to make you like get out of your seat and be like, this shit is the fucking hit. Like, nah, like not every single beat. Like, you should work to make sure that every beat you make makes you feel like that. But like, realistically, not every single beat is going to make you feel like that. So, sort of understanding that and being realistic with your expectations, but then still understanding that at the end of the day, you need to be consistent. So something to mediate that is just making sure that you're also being consistently getting better. So if you're consistently getting better, that will help your consistency, because you won't be consistently posting something that is at the same level. You'll be consistently posting something that is getting better every single time you post. So yeah, that would be my advice in that regard. Next question is from Ben Ricky. And it said, bro, can you give us some go-to hotkeys for FL? And then Paeta Kit is sounding lit, by the way, for sure gonna cop. Thank you, Ricky. Ben Ricky. I am doing an FL Studio hotkeys video, so I won't really go into depth with that. Just know that that video is coming. And then Paeta Kit, thank you so much. I'm putting in a lot of effort. I hope it's good. I hope y'all fuck with it. Next question is from Danny Beats, and they said, do you send beats to artists often, and if so, how do you find those artists? I I don't send beats to artists, like random artists often, but artists who are in my network who like, want me to send beats to them. I do send beats to them pretty frequently. And as far as like, how do I find those artists? Just by reaching out to them. Sometimes I am able to find artists who are kind of in my genre just by looking at like similar art. Like I'll find somebody that I've worked with and then just go to like their Twitter page and find artists that are similar to them or artists that they interact with, and then just kind of try to interact with those people. But then honestly, just by being present on social media, sometimes like people will just reach out to me. Sometimes I check on who's followed me and I'll see that like it might be somebody I want to work with. I don't really care too much about their follower count. I care more about what they sound like. And if I feel like you are a hard worker and you're somebody who has the type of sound that I want to work with, I'm going to reach out and say, can I send you some beats? And that you don't have to be of any status to do that. You should treat yourself like you're Timbaland every time you're looking for artists to send beats to. You should be like, all right, who do I want to work with? Like, who do I think is worthy of my beats? Like, who do I think I can put on and make the next biggest star with my shit? It shouldn't be like, oh, like I really, really hope, so-and-so likes my beats, or I really hope, I can get someone, just anyone to rap on my beats. No, you need to understand that like you're providing an upper echelon product and that only certain people are going to be allowed to be able to use that product. So you need to be like selective about it. You need to not be arrogant, but understand that like you're not in any way a peon in this situation. Like you're the glue. You're the person who's gonna put this shit together, and you need to have the confidence in that fact. So yeah, that's how I find the artists, man. Just be confident and reach out to them. Next question is from Prod Allen, and they said, could you talk about beat licenses and the different licenses and how to set them up correctly? I'm not going to answer that question. But I will tell you that there are a lot of videos on how to set up beat licenses. And if you go to beatstars.com, they'll tell you right there. They even have videos on their YouTube page. So does TrackTrain. So does every other beat leasing service. So no, while I will not explicitly tell you how to set up beat licenses, I will tell you there is a litany of information out there for you to consume. Next question is from M Digital Beats. How you made your beat tag, the only tag I love. I wish one day I will have like it. Thank you. I made my beat tag by ripping it from an episode of Pokemon, bro. Like I just I just sampled it basically, and I just hope Nintendo doesn't sue me, but thank you so much. Thank you. All right, next question is from Pro Gaming. I think the way somebody does music is tightly coupled to the producer life. Can you tell us about yours? Your beats are fire, and that doesn't come from nothing. Bro, I hate to be the one to tell you, but I might be the most unspecial person who makes beats. I promise you, like, besides, just living life, I don't really have a lot of stories to tell. Like, I have a good upbringing, my mom is a respectful person who raised me well. I don't have I never really had a hard life. Like I usually got things that I wanted. I went to and graduated from an Ivy League school for free on scholarship. And so like, while I can't really say that too many things have really contributed to why my music sounds the way it does. And so you're saying it sounds fire. I wouldn't say that, but I appreciate you. I would say that maybe, I was always inclined to music, and I'm grateful to God that I took that inclination seriously at the moments where I did, because that provided me with a lot of the skills that I use today. And just kind of like, learning different things throughout life. Like I've always just had this energy of like, I'm destined to, I'm not just supposed to be another person doing what people say. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not supposed to be subservient. I'm not supposed to be this docile, cattle that, is born and then is slaughtered and then is fed upon by life, I've always felt like, I feel in the grand scheme of things very, very, very small, but that my impact in this very, very, very small place could still be powerful. It's not to say that I'm still not important, or that, I don't have value, but I understand that I'm small, but I still do understand that that value can be converted into something that is good for other people, which is what I've always wanted to do. That's why, from a very young age, I wanted to be a doctor. Then I got into studying public health and epidemiology, and now I just want to use music to heal and help people in whatever way that is, and just use my reach to help people understand that, I get how you feel. Like, I feel exactly how you feel, and I want you to know that it's gonna be okay. Like, it's not the end of the world. Like, you're gonna feel like this, and then you're still gonna be okay. Like, that's basically all. So I mean, there's probably a lot of shit in my life that is contributes to the way my music sounds, and is probably core in the way that I conduct myself musically, but I can't think of any of those things. I can only think of, the reasons why I am happy that it's like this now. I'm just happy that I'm able to make an impact in people's lives and help people out, because at the end of the day, that's all I've ever really wanted, and that's all I really care about. So I know that didn't really answer your question, but that's what I got for you. My life hasn't been too bad though, and I appreciate you. Next question is from Mateus Cruz. How much money do you get by selling beats? As much money as you get from selling beats. Next question is from Ralphs, and they said, tips on selling my first beat. Just be very consistent, and then just keep practicing, bro. Just keep practicing. Next question is from John GK. Favorite producer besides yourself? Last time I think I said Kenny Beats. This time I'm gonna say Kyle Stemberger, bro. I've been looking at a lot of his tutorials lately, and I've been just listening to his beats. And Kyle Stemberger, honestly, that nigga should have I don't know if he has placements. I don't really know. I don't know him, and I don't know too much about him. But he's cold at making beats. That much I do know. He's fucking nice. So I definitely do think he should have more placements by now. But I should have known who Kyle Stemberger is. What the fuck? But yeah, he's a beast. He's a beast. Fave producer right now. What's the longest period you've gone without making beats? From the time I was born until the time I was 20, I did not make a single beat. Next question is from Stefan Barrow. How to master your song for SoundCloud or any music streaming platform that converts your track to a lower quality audio file. I want my sound to be loud yet clean, free of artifacts. You can use professional third-party softwares to mix and master. I wouldn't worry too much about. I mean, you also have to get better at your mix. A lot of the sound crushing comes from bad mixing. So if you have your stuff properly leveled, you won't get a lot of that ambient artifact, nonsense in your beats like you would like YouTube's tends to do, like YouTube does, Instagram does it, Twitter does it, a lot of different things do that shit, and I fucking hate it. But yeah, I would say your mix is probably just the most important part, and that just comes from being better at mixing. I don't really have any explicit tips to give you. I have an entire mixing video on basically how I mix my beats if you want to go check that out. But yeah, just you have to improve your mix. Next question is from Alejandro, and they said, will you be my papa? Sure. Next question is from MK Sins. How to sell my beats online? Go to Google and type in how to sell my beats online. Next question is from Unknowns, and they said, is it better to buy the $100 or the $200 FL Studio? I don't know either way, but I do know that I have the $200 version of FL Studio, and it works pretty fine for me. Next question is from Supreme Vibes, and they said, how to obtain the sauce? My answer to that is that the sauce is actually a myth. It does not exist. It's all within you. So if you think you have the sauce, then you already have it. Next question is from Who Cares, and they said, how to enjoy life? And my answer to that is, don't let the shit that upsets you be near you. Put it as far away from you and ignore it. Deal with trauma as it comes, but things that upset you, you should not have a continual exposure to it. Whether that's a relationship or, you know, an activity, things that are upsetting to you or things that have a negative effect on your soul or your emotions, don't expose yourself to those things. Next question is from Kaney. And they said, who is Chu out of the studio? How are you outside of producing? And do you have a job or only live off beats? So my job is production. Like, I pay and sustain myself from production, but I actually just got an internship because it's required for my program. So I have an internship working at a public health office. So I will be doing that. But yeah, so I technically now I do have another job, but I do live from selling beats. That's my sustenance. How am I outside of production? I'm very quiet, man. Introverted. Pretty normal guy. Like, yeah, I'm a perfectionist, which makes making beats very, very difficult. But other than that, I just like to show people as much love as possible. I get about as upset as the next person, you know, so again, not perfect, but I like to just show people as much love as possible, show them that, like, there's a different way to live life than trying to hurt people, or there's a different way to live life than not being actively aware of the people around you. So I try to do that to the best of my ability. And, you know, that's just kind of who I am, who I try to be, rather. Next question is from JR. And they said, how do you find your own unique sound and create a brand around it? It comes from consistent practice, honestly. We've kind of been touching on that point a lot, but through, you know, consistently opening your DAW every day and getting in there and making beats and learning new techniques, watching tutorials and watching other people cook up, you begin to kind of develop your own sound. As long as you approach it with I want to take these techniques and make it my own, as opposed to I want to just copy this technique so that I can sell a bunch of beats and make a lot of money. You know, if you come into it with the approach, if you come into learning with the approach of I want to adopt and appropriate these techniques into my own style, I think there's no way that you can go wrong. And you can do that even just by listening to like old rock music and listening to the way they do their drums and like being like, okay, like I like that like 1 second where they did that. So now next time I'm going to do that with my hi-hat and my trap beat, and like, you know, just different things like that. Just learning a lot of stuff and kind of turning it into your own is how you begin to develop your own sound. Nobody starts with their own sound, but that practice is crucial. Within those 10,000 hours that it takes you to master production, you will have developed your own sound. I promise. If you put in those 10,000 hours, there is no way you come out of it sounding like somebody else. Impossible. So next question is from Barney Coleman, and they asked 2 questions in a row. Their first question is, how can I get my name out there if the internet is so saturated? Secondly, how to make even a little money as a music producer. So your first question, the internet is not saturated at all. The very, very bottom of the content creator pool is filled to the brim with people who don't give a fuck about what they're making. So if that's the saturation that you're talking about, then yeah. But if you mean actual music production, no, there's enough money for every single producer, but there's not enough money for every single person who calls themselves a producer, but there's enough money for every person who is truly a producer. But the only way that you can access that money is by being consistent and making good shit. If you're not willing to do that, then you have answered your own question and you need to find something else to do. And then that falls directly into your next question. Even a little bit of money, don't stop begging. Get to work. Watch some tutorials. Get better at mixing. Get better at mastering. Save your money. Don't buy cheeseburgers and bullshit. Go fucking buy some better VSTs. Go watch some tutorials. Go watch every single Internet Money tutorial. Go watch every single Kyle Beats tutorial. Go watch all of Cody's tutorials. If you're not doing all this shit, then you shouldn't even be asking. If you're not doing these things, but you know you could be doing these things, then you shouldn't be asking questions like, you know, you shouldn't be complaining about saturation, and you shouldn't be asking how to make a little bit of money because you have not put in enough work. And I feel like that's where a lot of these questions really stem from. It's from people who don't, and I'm not saying necessarily you, but I get the question so much. And it's from people who don't want to put in the work. They want someone to tell them that there's an easier way than putting in the work. And if that's what you want, then I would say keep dreaming. Next question is from Sayam, and they said, how do you grow better on SoundCloud besides just reposting on social media? SoundCloud, which I actually thought was dying. Now, I have some shit for y'all. SoundCloud, I thought was dying. I tried everything on SoundCloud. Even after my YouTube grew and my Twitter grew and my Instagram grew, I could not figure out SoundCloud. Like, I would post the links that I had there, but I couldn't figure it out. So eventually what I started doing is anytime I post a beat on YouTube, I have it automatic. So now whenever I post a beat on YouTube, I also post it on SoundCloud, and then they are both interlinked to each other. So if you go on SoundCloud and you click that beat, you'll see that it can take you to my BeatStars page, but it can also take you to my YouTube page. If you go to YouTube and you click on that same beat, you'll see that in the description, it can take you to my BeatStars page, or it can take you to the SoundCloud link where you can listen to the beat without the video. And I noticed that interlinking everything has had a massive improvement on the amount of followers that I have on SoundCloud. Like, I went from like 200 and something like a couple months ago. Like, I'm gonna try to find a way to track it for you guys if I can, but I went from like 200 and something followers on SoundCloud to like 1,100 like now in a couple months, basically just by like interlinking everything and making sure they're connected. And then I went from not posting on SoundCloud ever to consistently posting on SoundCloud as much as I post beats on YouTube. That consistency has had a positive effect on how many plays I get per day. I used to get like 6 plays a day on SoundCloud. Now I get like 1,000 plays every single day on SoundCloud because I consistently post beats on SoundCloud. So just consistency, bro. I can't make this shit up. Like, it's consistency. It's consistency. If you are consistent and you put a good product, you're going to get engagement. And I've tracked it. Like, I've been getting an increase in beat sales because of SoundCloud, because that's more of a touch base for selling for artists to cop beats, I think, than even YouTube sometimes, because as you guys know, YouTube is really more of, as far as like the producer community, it's really more producers talking to producers, and the conversion rate for artists is not as high as it might be for like producers as far as engagement and stuff like that, etc. So I think SoundCloud might actually be a better touch point, and I'm actually going to be doing a lot more research because I would love to see, you know, just how much potential does SoundCloud actually have, because I think the producer community might not be getting as much as they should be out of it. So, I mean, I'm going to be letting you guys know, but that, just keep posting consistently on SoundCloud, bro. At least from what I've seen, oh my goodness, like the engagement is incredible just from posting shit, bro. And then SoundCloud, it just grows on its own afterwards. Like, it becomes your own platform. So now I can just post whatever I want on SoundCloud. I might start doing remixes. I might start doing like collabs that are just for SoundCloud, like just to get them out. Cause I know like I have a lot of shit that I want to post that I can't just keep posting all on YouTube. So that could be very, very interesting going forward. I'd love to see what I could do with that. Next question is from Javier Torres, and they said, how do you create filters for trap loops? I don't really know how to answer your question. You can create effects chains in your mixer. You can also do filters with your EQ, with Fruity Love filter. Like, I don't know. I think you would have had to be more specific with your question, and I apologize for not being able to more effectively answer it. But I'm sure someone will let me know what you really meant. So next question is from Atanari, and they ask, can you live off selling beats from internet, or it's better to learn audio engineering? I can't say what's better or what's worse, but you can live off selling beats from the internet. I mean, look at Cody. You know, I mean, He just bought a he just bought a $750,000 home, and all he does is sell beats on the internet. So, you know, are we still really asking? Are we still asking this question? But you can also make money as an audio engineer. I mean, if you're in a position where you can learn audio engineering, honestly, I would say do that. If I could go back, I would have been like, fuck this school shit, fuck pre-med, fuck medicine. I'm gonna go learn audio engineering. And even when I started producing, you know, later in my undergrad career, I tried to switch my minor from anthropology to music, and I couldn't do it. So then I tried to double minor in music, and I missed it by 1 credit. So, you know, if the opportunity presents itself for you to study audio engineering, I would recommend it. As long as your parents are cool with it and everything, yeah, go ahead. But you can make money doing both. And I mean, like, I was talking to Alex Toomey the other day, and he makes, you know, bank. He makes bank, you know, doing his audio engineering shit. And there's hella other. Mike Dean is an audio engineer, and he's a fucking beast. Again, there we go. So, yeah, either or, man, either or. Next question is from I'm Perksy, and they said, how long does it typically take you to make a full-length beat? I would say on average, if I'm doing a full-length beat, like not a cook-up for y'all on YouTube, but if I'm doing a beat from when the time I open it and start the first sound to the time I export it for when it's ready to be on BeatStars, it could be the average amount of time, bro, is like 3 hours, I'd say. But sometimes I get it done in 45. Like sometimes I'm like, bam, like that's it. That's it. Like the beat is done. Sometimes it takes me days. But I would say on average, the amount of time, not in one sitting, but the amount of time might be like 3 to 5 hours per beat. Just because, like, I don't know. There's just so much that goes into it. And sometimes I'm just sitting there for like hours, just like listening to the beat on loop. I'm like, there's something wrong here. Like, I can't figure it out, but I'm gonna keep listening to it until I figure it out. And so that's that perfectionism coming in sometimes. But like, I also think that's good because like I catch a lot of shit, and like I put subtle things in it that, at least for me, make the beat sound more emotional, because at the end of the day, I don't really care about anything else except expressing that emotion that I felt that made me want to start that beat in the first place. So I'm willing to sit there for hours until it is there. I'm willing to not drop the beat until it's there. So yeah. Good question. Next question is from Apple FTW, and they ask and their question is pertaining to what are my current go-to drum sounds. The entire Paeta drum kit coming soon, and then there's this snare in Cody's Space Cadet kit. It's called Graham, and it is fire. I've been using that snare like nonstop. And then I have not been using the centerfold drum kit recently, but I've gone back to using the kick from the centerfold drum kit, the centerfold kick, and then the live hat loop. I've been using that a lot lately. So those are some go-to sounds. And then the very, 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 very last question is from Bootsy Beats. Or Boosty Beats, and they said, they didn't even ask a question. They said, please do a reaction to our beats, maybe a battle. Please don't ever ask me questions. Don't even comment stuff like this, bro. Bootsy, you are so selfish. OMG. It's a Q&A, bro. Like, what are you doing? No. I will not do a reaction to your beats. I'll do a beat battle for the people who are on Twitter, who are willing to wait for me to be ready to do a beat battle. But no, and you should know by now, of all the people, of all the questions we did, why would you be the one person to say that? Anyways, the beat battle questions really gets me, y'all, bro, because I don't know, man. Y'all treat these YouTube producers like they're out here just to do beat battles for you. Like, bro, people are not here to just put you on. Stop begging in everybody's comment section for stuff that's only gonna help you. Like, there's stuff that other people want. Why would you come to a Q&A post and ask for not even ask for a beat battle? You just said do a beat battle, do a reaction. Like, bro, get the fuck out of here. that will be my one soapbox. I'm so sorry, Boosty. I still love you, bro, but sometimes I just hate questions like that. And that is it, bro. That is it. We did every single question. And we were here for an hour and 40 minutes. What the fuck? All right. I am going to get the fuck out of here. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for submitting questions. I have no idea how I'm going to present this. Like, this is about to be the longest audio ever. But we're gonna get it done. We're gonna get it out there, and you guys are gonna love it. You guys are gonna fucking love it, and I love you. Until next time, stay happy, stay healthy, always be creating. Just make sure it's dope content only. Peace.